Hey guys, it's Ryan here with HobbiesofaMan once again, and today we're going to be doing another comic book review. Today we're going to be looking at Blasphemous, book 1, published by DSTLRY, and this is written by Mirka and Andolfo, as you guys can see right there at the top. It's colored by Gianluca Papi, lettered by Fabio Amelia, and translated by Steve Orlando, who I think is also a comic book writer, but I'm not really sure. And this is an oversized book. It's on par with other magazine-sized books. So it's kind of like Black Label, DC Black Label books. It's also like Savage Sword of Conan, which I reviewed on the channel the other day, and like Penthouse Comics, which I should have reviewed already as of when I'm recording this video. And when this uploads, the other video, the Penthouse Comics video, should have already been published, right? So if you're interested in how those compare to a normal volume, let me show you right here really quickly. There you go. This is much wider and only slightly taller. This is more or less a European style comic book in the sense that the size is similar. This is like an album basically compared to a normal issue. And Mirka Andolfo does all of the artwork and all of the story work. And so if you're not a fan of her, you'll probably not enjoy this, right? But I happen to be a fan of her. I like her art style a lot. I don't necessarily like her storytelling that much, but there's certain elements that I enjoy, right? So I'm willing to put up with stuff that I don't like too much because the artwork plus some of the story elements are quite good for me, right? So, yeah. Now, this is kind of an odd story. I don't really know where, like, what to talk about because it's not really what I thought it was. And I don't think it, like the way that they marketed it, like fits properly, right? So, we'll just go through this and I'll mention a little bit about my thoughts on it at the end. So, basically, it opens on Italy a few centuries ago, actually. This woman who happens to seem to be a nun is crying over the body of someone that's dead, and she's in church talking to an effigy of Jesus, right? A cross with Jesus on it. And somehow Jesus responds, right? And it turns out that through this effigy, some sort of like demon creature has responded to this woman. And even though it can't save her friend, it can at least make her immortal. And so they strike a deal and she becomes immortal. And then we jump 600 years into the future. And there's this explanation of this new kind of version of Christianity, more or less, that basically uses famous actresses and singers and different types of famous people as spokespersons for God through this new reorganization of the Christian faith. It's kind of odd. I don't really like religion. I'm not a fan of it in person. I'm not religious myself either. And so I don't really find any offense with this. But if you are religious and you care a lot about what people think about your religion, you might not like this, right? Or you might, depending on which character you end up, liking, because there is a counterculture, a rebellion underneath, trying to, go back to the old version of religion. And it's kind of interesting. Basically, it turns out that this world is a little bit like The Boys, in the sense that corporation and greed and capitalism and all of this stuff has combined with a system of famous people that have power in some way, and they're using it in order to do something, right? In The Boys, it's just to control the world through economic value and stuff like that, and to grow their company. But in this case, it's to gain power for this this system, this like godly heart thing, which pumps out an elixir of sorts that makes all of the demons that have taken over heaven really fucking high. And and so they continuously want this thing, and in order to get it, they have to create prayer power, right? And so using famous people increases the worship, and then of course that increases the amount of liquid that comes out of this god heart, which in turn makes them be able to have more resources, right? And it's a really fucked up kind of situation, but it was really interesting. The way that Mirka Andolfo tells the story is quite good. I like how it focuses on certain characters, specifically Clesia, who happens to be a singer, and she has lived for 600 years, and because of this, she's getting to the point where she basically is approaching her like limit, right? Apparently humans are not meant to live that long, and the fact that she's managed to live 600 years means that basically her memories are piling up, and this is causing her to feel sick and to go through some problems, right? And eventually she realizes that if she forces herself to die, she manages to get some memories out of that. And so she does this a few times in order to remember the original person that she loved, who happened to be a woman. And this, of course, gives her information about what she has been doing, basically. And it makes her kind of want to change, right? And so it seems like it's basically, the story is about Clesia trying to escape her bondage, right? If you want to call it that she put herself into. And using this psychiatrist that they hired, which is the character that was introduced at the beginning of the story, to help her do this. And it's really interesting. It's kind of this... it's a really interesting concept. But I'm not sure that people will be willing to read through this whole thing in order to get to that point, which is why I mentioned it so early on into this review, where maybe I wouldn't have otherwise, right? Once you read the whole thing, I think that you will like it, right? But the point is that getting to that point might be difficult for modern, normal comic book readers. If you're a manga reader, you'll probably be able to get through this quite easily because it's a little bit similar to Oshinoko or other, kind of ridiculous things with crazy premises, right? And so it makes sense that this is accessible to manga readers, but I don't necessarily think that this is going to appeal to traditional comic book readers. And I think that sucks, but it is what it is. It feels a little bit like The Boys or like Monsters, Inc. or, like a bunch of other things just kind of like really weirdly set up together. And I'm very curious where it goes, but I'm not necessarily sure that it's going to work out that well. I don't think that this was the right thing to launch Mirka Andolfo's career at DSTLRY with, because it's really odd. Like it's not boring per se. I didn't find myself bored. I was pretty interested throughout the whole thing, but I was interested because I was like very confused about what this was about, right? And to some people, to some readers, that might be frustrating and they might not like that. And so they'll put the book down. And for others, it might be cool, but then after they learn all of the secrets that were told at the end of this book, they might not feel like they want to read more. Or they will read more and then drop it midway through its run because they already learned all the interesting stuff that they wanted to learn, right? And so I feel like this wasn't a strong start for Mirka Andolfo's career here at DSTLRY, but I don't necessarily hate it. Although if you're not convinced, probably trade wait. I think that's probably the best way to do this. Assuming DSTLRY actually makes trades, I don't think that they have announced any plans to do so. So we'll see, right? We don't know. But yeah, those are my very disparate and incoherent thoughts about Blasphamous, Book 1, by Mirka Andolfo, published by DSTLRY, right? So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think about Blasphemous down below if you've read it, or if you just listened to this and have no idea what I'm talking about. Let me know what you think about the really weird premise that I mentioned, right? So yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. See you guys later.